As the landscape of global health and international relations evolves, a significant shift is occurring in the dynamics between major world powers, particularly the United States and China. With the United States seemingly stepping back from its traditional role in global health, many are left questioning what this means for international cooperation and the balance of power. As the U.S. recalibrates its foreign policy priorities, the opportunity for China to assert itself as a leader in global health and beyond is becoming increasingly apparent. Recent analyses highlight the contrasting approaches the two nations are taking in various sectors, particularly in healthcare and technology. As the Biden administration faces increasing scrutiny over its handling of international partnerships, China's strategic maneuvers suggest it is ready to fill any void left by the U.S. A report from NPR underscores how the U.S. withdrawal from global health initiatives could create a power vacuum, allowing China to expand its influence in regions that have traditionally relied on American support. Amid these geopolitical shifts, the U.S. State Department has also revised its focus on China, centering its webpage on trade and business curbs rather than health collaboration. According to Reuters, this pivot indicates a broader strategy of economic confrontation rather than cooperation, particularly in technology sectors critical to national security. The U.S. government's recent moves suggest a desire to decouple from China economically, a strategy that raises questions about the long-term viability of such actions and their impact on international relations. The rivalry between the U.S. and China is further underscored in a detailed analysis published by Foreign Affairs, which argues that the perception of China's economic parity with the U.S. is misleading. The authors Stephen G. Brooks and Ben A. Vagel assert that while China's economy has grown significantly, it remains substantially behind the U.S. in several key metrics, including GDP and global profits generated by major corporations. They argue that the U.S. maintains a significant advantage, particularly in high-tech industries where American firms continue to dominate. This disparity suggests that while China may be positioned as a competitor, its economic clout is not as formidable as often portrayed. The implications of this analysis are profound. If the U.S. were to enact broad economic restrictions on China, the resulting economic fallout would likely be disproportionately damaging to China. The modeling conducted by Brooks and Vagel indicates that potential economic disruptions could affect anywhere from 15% to 51% of China's GDP, compared to a mere fraction of that impact on the U.S. economy. This suggests that the U.S. holds a strategic advantage that could be leveraged in future negotiations or conflicts. In the pharmaceutical sector, AstraZeneca's recent $160 million acquisition of a FibroGen subsidiary further illustrates the shifting dynamics in global health. The deal underscores AstraZeneca's commitment to expanding its footprint in China, even amid ongoing government investigations into its practices there. This acquisition not only bolsters AstraZeneca's presence in the Chinese market but also signals that the company is navigating a complex landscape where both opportunity and scrutiny coexist. By gaining full rights to the anemia treatment roxadustat in China, AstraZeneca demonstrates its willingness to invest in a market that remains crucial for its growth. As these dynamics unfold, the question remains: what role will China ultimately play in the global health arena? With the U.S. stepping back, China appears poised to enhance its influence, potentially reshaping global health policies and practices. However, this expansion is not without challenges. China's approach to health diplomacy will need to contend with its domestic issues and the international community's skepticism regarding its transparency and intentions. Looking ahead, the interplay between U.S. and Chinese policies will continue to evolve, reflecting broader geopolitical tensions. The U.S. must navigate its strategic interests while maintaining alliances and partnerships that can bolster its position. Simultaneously, China must balance its ambitions for greater influence with the realities of international scrutiny and the need for collaboration in addressing global health challenges. As these two powers maneuver through a complex web of economic, political, and health-related issues, the outcomes will undoubtedly shape the future of international relations and global health for years to come. In a significant escalation of tensions across the Taiwan Strait, Taiwan has officially banned academic exchanges with 3 mainland Chinese universities linked to the United Front Work Department (UFWD) of the Chinese Communist Party. This move, announced by Education Minister Cheng Yingyao on February 20, 2025, reflects the island's ongoing efforts to counter perceived political influences from Beijing and reinforce its stance on sovereignty and independence. The affected institutions include Jinan University and Guangzhou Huaqiao University in Xiamen and Beijing Chinese Language and Culture College. In conjunction with the exchange ban, Taiwan will also not recognize degrees conferred by these universities, a decision intended to discourage Taiwanese students from attending them. Chinese universities affiliated with the UFWD serve a political purpose rather than a purely academic one, Cheng stated, underscoring the government's rationale for the restrictions. This latest development has sparked considerable debate within Taiwan. Critics of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party (DPP) argue that such measures could inhibit essential academic and cultural exchanges that are vital for fostering mutual understanding between Taiwan and mainland China. The DPP has been navigating a complex political landscape, balancing a strong pro-independence stance against the backdrop of increasing pressure from Beijing, which has ramped up its efforts to assert its influence over Taiwan. The UFWD's role in shaping narratives and promoting pro-Beijing agendas abroad has long been scrutinized, and Taiwan's actions are seen as a direct response to these tactics. The government's decision to cut ties with these universities is viewed as a protective measure, reinforcing its commitment to maintaining national identity and independence amid growing concerns over Chinese influence. Education Minister Cheng's comments reflect a broader sentiment within the Taiwanese government that prioritizes safeguarding the island's democratic values against external pressures. The DPP's actions may resonate with a segment of the Taiwanese populace that is wary of China's intentions. Yet it also risks alienating those who advocate for more open channels of communication and cooperation with the mainland. As Taiwan navigates these complex dynamics, the implications of this ban extend beyond academia. It could influence future diplomatic relations, economic engagements, and cultural exchanges between Taiwan and China. Observers will be keenly watching how this move affects Taiwanese students' choices regarding their education and the potential repercussions for cross-strait relations. Looking ahead, as Taiwan continues to assert its independence, the government's educational policies will likely remain a focal point in its broader strategy to counteract mainland China's influence. The evolving landscape in the region suggests that both sides may need to reassess their approaches to engagement, particularly in educational and cultural spheres, to foster a more constructive relationship in the future. In a significant shift in diplomatic strategy, the United States State Department has recently updated its webpage focusing on China, emphasizing trade and business restrictions. This move comes amid ongoing tensions between the two nations as the U.S. navigates a complex landscape of economic competition and geopolitical rivalry. The updated webpage is seen as a clearer articulation of U.S. intentions regarding its relationship with China, particularly in light of increasing scrutiny over business practices and trade policies. The revised webpage highlights key areas of concern, including the challenges faced by American businesses operating in the Chinese market. It underscores the U.S. government's commitment to protecting national interests while fostering fair trade practices. We aim to ensure that American businesses can compete on a level playing field, a State Department official noted. This statement reflects a growing consensus within the U.S. government on the need for a more assertive stance against what it perceives as unfair practices by China. Simultaneously, reports have surfaced indicating that the U.S. plans to reduce the size of its diplomatic mission in China by up to 10%. This decision is expected to impact both American diplomats stationed in mainland China and Hong Kong, as well as local employees. Sources have revealed that notifications regarding this significant downsizing could be issued as early as this week. This unprecedented move is indicative of the shifting dynamics in U.S.-China relations, with analysts suggesting it may be a response to both security concerns and the need to streamline operations amidst rising tensions. As the U.S. navigates these changes, China appears to be focusing on boosting its economy by attracting more foreign investment. Experts suggest that this strategy is crucial for China to stabilize its economy, which has been grappling with slow growth and mounting financial pressures. A Canadian professor of international relations recently emphasized that engaging with China is vital for countries like Canada, particularly in light of increasing pressure from the U.S. administration. He stated, "Without deeper ties with China, Canada risks falling victim to external trade pressures." Moreover, the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, as demonstrated by a recent aerial encounter between Chinese and Philippine military aircraft in the South China Sea. The U.S. has condemned China's actions as unsafe and irresponsible, reaffirming its commitment to supporting allies in the Indo-Pacific region. This situation further complicates the diplomatic landscape, as the U.S. seeks to maintain a presence in Asia while managing its relationship with China. On a different front, China is making strides in the eVTOL electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft sector, which is poised to revolutionize urban mobility. Companies like EHang and Autoflight are leading the charge in developing low-altitude economy applications, including logistics and sightseeing flights. According to industry experts, the approval for commercial air taxi services may take several more years, with a projected timeline extending to 2028. This ambitious plan is backed by strong government support, with President Xi Jinping endorsing the integration of eVTOL technology into urban planning. However, amidst these developments, China's healthcare system is facing a crisis, with a significant rise in hospital bankruptcies linked to financial strains exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Hospitals, particularly private facilities, have struggled to recover from increased operational costs and reduced patient revenues. Over 200 hospitals have declared bankruptcy in the past 5 years, a stark contrast to just 7 in the previous 5-year period. The financial woes of these institutions reflect broader economic challenges in China, including an aging population and insufficient insurance reimbursements. As the U.S. refocuses its diplomatic strategies and China grapples with its own economic challenges, the coming months will likely see further developments in both nations' approaches to trade diplomacy and technology. The evolving landscape suggests that while tensions may remain high, opportunities for cooperation, particularly in emerging technologies and economic recovery, could pave the way for a more nuanced relationship in the future. In a significant shift in policy and defense strategy, the Trump administration has instructed the Pentagon to prepare for extensive budget cuts aimed at U.S. military and defense spending. As the nation grapples with economic pressures and shifting geopolitical landscapes, this directive has raised concerns about the long-term implications for national security. The order, reported by the Washington Post, comes at a time of heightened tensions, particularly regarding U.S.-China relations, which have been characterized by increasing military assertiveness from Beijing. In a parallel development, U.S. lawmakers have intensified scrutiny over academic collaborations with Chinese institutions, highlighting the potential risks these partnerships pose to national security. Education and Workforce Committee Chairman Tim Walberg and Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party Chairman John Molinar have called for Eastern Michigan University, Oakland University, and the University of Detroit Mercy to terminate their joint programs with Chinese universities. This request stems from concerns that these collaborations not only jeopardize sensitive research funded by American taxpayers but also facilitate the Chinese Communist Party's efforts to bolster its military capabilities through technological advancements. In their letters to the university presidents, Walberg and Molinar stated, "The research at your university is funded by the American people and it must be protected." They emphasized that the People's Republic of China exploits the open research environment in the U.S. to engage in theft and espionage. The lawmakers' stance reflects a broader trend of increasing vigilance against foreign influence in American academia, particularly from China. which has been identified as a strategic competitor in technological and military domains. The universities in question have established various partnerships with institutions that are either directly linked to or supportive of the Chinese military's objectives. For instance, Eastern Michigan University collaborates with Bibu Gulf University, which trains students under semi-military management, and Guangxi University, part of China's 211 project aimed at fostering elite institutions for national priorities including defense. Similarly, Oakland University's partnerships with Changchun University of Science and Technology and others involve institutions that contribute to military research and development. The University of Detroit Mercy has also engaged in programs that provide Chinese students access to advanced technologies, raising alarm over potential knowledge transfer that could benefit adversarial military applications. The lawmakers' actions follow a report released last September detailing the risks associated with U.S. universities collaborating with Chinese researchers on emerging technologies. Previous responses to similar concerns have seen institutions like the Georgia Institute of Technology and the University of California, Berkeley sever ties with their Chinese counterparts, underlining a growing recognition of the potential threats posed by such partnerships. As the Pentagon anticipates budget cuts, these developments signal a critical juncture in U.S. defense policy and academic collaboration. The driving forces behind these changes are multifaceted, including economic constraints and a pressing need to safeguard national security interests. The ramifications of these budgetary reallocations and educational collaborations could profoundly affect the U.S.'s strategic posture and technological edge in the global arena. Looking ahead, the combination of budget cuts and increased scrutiny of international partnerships indicates a shift towards a more isolationist and protective stance in U.S. policy. As lawmakers and defense officials navigate these complex challenges, the future of U.S. military readiness and technological innovation remains closely tied to how effectively the nation can secure its intellectual and financial resources against foreign exploitation. The ongoing discourse around these issues will be pivotal as the U.S. continues to position itself in an increasingly competitive global landscape. In a significant diplomatic overture, U.S. President Donald Trump has expressed his desire for Chinese President Xi Jinping to visit Washington, highlighting the importance of their relationship as both nations work towards stabilizing their ties. While Trump described their rapport as great, the prospect of such a visit is fraught with complexities that could impede progress. Political analysts suggest that despite the potential benefits for Xi, such as fostering a personal connection with Trump, numerous obstacles remain. During a recent Air Force One press briefing, Trump reiterated his willingness to forge a new trade agreement with China, stating, "It's possible." This statement came on the heels of his administration's earlier imposition of tariffs on Chinese goods, which has created a backdrop of tension in U.S.-China relations. "But remember, he loves China and I love the USA," Trump added, acknowledging the competitive nature of their relationship while emphasizing the potential for collaboration. The timing of Trump's invitation coincides with an increasing urgency from both Beijing and Washington to mend their frayed relationship, particularly in the wake of the economic and geopolitical challenges exacerbated by the pandemic and shifting global dynamics. Experts argue that a visit from Xi could help solidify the personal rapport that Trump has sought, enabling both leaders to address critical issues affecting bilateral trade, climate change, and regional security. However, the path to such a visit is laden with hurdles. Analysts point out that Xi's acceptance of the invitation would require navigating domestic pressures in China, where rising nationalism and resentment toward the U.S. complicate diplomatic overtures. Furthermore, China's firm stance on issues like Taiwan and human rights, coupled with ongoing tensions over technology and trade policy, could pose significant challenges to Xi's willingness to engage with Trump. As both leaders contemplate a potential meeting, the diplomatic landscape continues to evolve. China's foreign ministry recently voiced strong opposition to the U.S. State Department's revision of its relations page, claiming it distorts the reality of U.S.-China ties and incites strategic competition. China is committed to developing U.S.-China relations based on mutual respect, peaceful coexistence and win-win cooperation, said Foreign Ministry spokesperson Gui Jiaquan. This statement underscores Beijing's determination to maintain a narrative of cooperation even amidst escalating tensions. The dynamics of U.S.-China relations are further complicated by other global developments, including China's growing partnerships with Latin American countries and its strategic initiatives within the BRICS framework. For instance, Brazil has emerged as a key ally for China in the region, with President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva actively pursuing a multilateral approach that emphasizes cooperation with both Eastern and Western powers. As China continues to expand its influence through economic partnerships, concerns regarding potential neocolonialism and dependency on Chinese investments have surfaced. In this context, the future of U.S.-China relations remains uncertain. The prospect of a visit from Xi to Washington could signal a thaw in relations, but only if both sides can overcome the myriad political, economic, and ideological barriers that currently exist. As global geopolitical tensions continue to rise, the implications of this potential meeting extend beyond bilateral relations, influencing the broader international order and the strategies of other nations navigating the complex web of alliances. Looking ahead, the next few months will be critical for U.S.-China relations. The decisions made by both Trump and Xi during this period could set the tone for future diplomatic engagement or further entrench the divide that characterizes their relationship. As the world watches closely, the unfolding dynamics between these two powerful nations will undoubtedly shape the geopolitical landscape for years to come.